What is glory dust? What is gold dust? In this series, you're going to be learning about what gold dust is, my experience with it, kind of what happened after my first experience with it. Is it even biblical? Is it bad? Is it from Satan? Is it from God? All of these thoughts that have just flooded my mind for the past several months. So the purpose of this video series is to do my best to answer those questions for you. Hey guys, I'm Mackenzie from A Cup of Life. If you haven't already, before we get started, make sure that you click the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you don't miss any more videos from me, especially the rest of this series. So first of all, I just want to start off by saying that I think the term gold dust or glory dust is definitely a man-made name for it. I don't want to get into the whole is it real or not aspect of it yet, but the term of it, I don't think it's in the Bible anywhere. I have not found it specifically with that name in the Bible. I think it's a name that we as humans have given this phenomenon. But the cool thing was that I wanted to know like the symbolism behind that. So the term glory means greatness, beautiful, honor, light, and God. And dust, I think about how Adam was created from dust. And in Genesis 3:19, kind of the second part of it says, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. So I think it's just really cool because like when you go off of glory dust, glory is meaning God, light, goodness, beautiful, honor. And then dust is referring to us. So not entirely sure yet like how that all like connects, but I thought that it was just really cool that there is an aspect of both God and human in the name glory dust. So if you haven't already watched my original video about when I experienced the gold dust, you should go watch it. I'll leave a link here. Short little recap. I was at a worship service and at the very end, I looked down at my hands and I had a piece of gold, almost like gold leaf paper that you would use in crafting. And it was very large on my hand, very, very noticeable. And so I was curious and I took my phone and turned the flashlight on and was putting the light over my hand, and my hands were just glowing, sparkling like crazy. And I had literally just found out what gold dust was like a week before this happened. And so I was just in complete amazement and awe of what was happening. And so for the next, I don't know, I'd say 4 or 5 days, there was a visible change that people could see on me, and many of the friends that I came across and even people that I didn't know super well, every single person kept saying I can just see so much joy on you, and you just seem different, just so full of light and joy. Not that gold dust makes you a better person, but it was people could physically see the presence of God on me, and that was so many different people told me that. Then about day 5, this was continuing. The gold dust was still on my hands specifically, and it was I'd shower and it was still there, I'd wash my hands and it was still there, and I was just in so much awe of what was happening to me that I had to post a video about it because I wanted to share it with other people. And that's kind of where everything started to go downhill. Basically, I got some comments on that video from people that I don't know, and the comments weren't super attacking. People weren't attacking my faith. They were just saying this is from the devil, you're being deceived, you are being taught by false prophets, and all these different things. If you've ever had something spoken over you so many times, especially very close together, there are many comments like this, and many people reached out to me, even close friends of mine, that were saying the same thing. And so there's this group of people that are telling me oh my goodness, we can see the presence of God on you. And then I had this other group of people that were saying you are being deceived by the devil. So if you can imagine where that put me, it became very, very overwhelming. And I got to this place, guys, I can't even tell you, I had a lot of nights and just days where I was feeling depressed and questioning a lot of different things because I had been growing in this charismatic area of my faith, but then I had very close friends to me that were not growing in that area, and they were telling me that I was being deceived. And these are people that like I love and I'm very close with, and like people that have encouraged me on my faith journey. And like those people, like I listen to them because I know that they know the truth, but I'm learning this like another part of truth, and it just got really messed up in my mind. I was never questioning like if God existed or anything like that, but I was questioning, okay, like is all of this like the signs and wonders and the healings and miracles and all this, like is it real? Like looking back at that, I am so sad that I questioned that because of like things that I've seen and experienced. And I'm not saying at all that you should focus on things that you experience. You need to test it like with scripture, and you need to test it with like tradition. But I also think that we can't throw experience out the window, because if you read the Bible, it's literally just chock full of people's experiences and testimonies of what God had been doing in their lives. So I think we need to be very careful, because I feel like a lot of people either fall into the category of it's all about experience, or people fall completely into the category of it's only scripture and experience doesn't matter. I think that it needs to be a mixture of it. And so just keep that in mind as you're watching this series. So as soon as I started to have doubt, it was one, like people telling me I was being deceived. And then another friend was like, hey, do you think that it could possibly be your makeup? Because I wear makeup every day, and like we touch our face like I literally just did, and I'm doing again. It's very easy for makeup to get on our hands, right? And so one night I tested that theory, and like I touched my face, and then I shined a light, however you want to say it, on my hands, and they're very sparkly. And it was in that moment that like I felt very crushed, and I was like, oh my goodness, this entire time this has just been my makeup. And I just went into like this really dark place. I felt so discouraged, and then I felt like such a fake person for putting my original video up. I thought about deleting it and all these different things, and like after I prayed about it, I decided to keep it up, and I'm glad that I did. But I went through a very, very dark time throughout that season, and as soon as I had doubt, the gold dust on my hands was gone. Completely gone, like no trace of it anymore. And then I went through this little season of a couple of weeks where like the thought literally crossed my mind, what if the voice that I have been like connecting with God has been Satan the entire time, and now that God is trying to like reach out to me through these people that are telling me I'm being deceived, that's really God, but I thought that it was Satan this whole time. Like how messed up is that? It was so messed up in my head. So I had to take a couple of weeks where I talked with a lot of people about this, like a lot of friends who are from all areas of belief on the matter of like gold dust and everything. And every single one of them was like, okay, well, look at the character and the fruit that's coming off of these comments. For the people that were telling you like, oh my goodness, we can see the presence of God on you. Like what happened from that? What fruit came? And like what came from that was like the fruit of like desiring to know God more. It was like I was in no way chasing after the gold dust. It was just this like deep burning in my heart to want to know the Father more. The fruit of that group of people speaking those things over me brought love and goodness and patience and just like all of the good things. Like it was in line with the character of God, and on the side of being told I'm being deceived and then wondering, oh my goodness, is this actually God's voice and I thought it wasn't this whole time, put me into this place of like depression and questioning. And once I took a step back and really looked like, okay, what are the characters of these two voices? It became very, very clear that the voice that was coming from being told that I was being deceived and that put me into like this dark place, that has Satan written all over it. And, you know, with those like specific friends, I'm not mad at them at all for like doing that. Like I understand that it was coming from a place of you know, like they wanted to watch out for me and make sure that, you know, what was happening and what I was believing was lining up with God. And so maybe that's the whole gold dust thing just wasn't familiar to them. Like, that's fair. And I totally understand that. I'm not mad that they said those things to me. Like, if I truly believed that one of my best friends was being deceived, like, I would want to step out and talk to them about it, you know? But when I look at the fruit or lack thereof that came from those comments, it was clearly not from God. And all of that is really just going to lead into the third video in this series. So it'll be here in a couple of weeks where I'm going to talk about what I just said, like how people reacted to it. But one of the thoughts that came to mind through all of that was, you know, since people were saying to me like, oh, it's from Satan. And I'm thinking, okay, but this is something physically on me. Like, if this were truly from Satan, the purpose of it would be to harm me. So as a believer, can Satan actually harm us? That was the main question that came from that. And I'm going to address that in the third video of this series that's going to go out on August 23rd. So make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss that. Some other questions that kind of came about was, is this biblical? I mean, like, we already kind of talked about how the term itself I don't think is biblical, but I do think that there's a lot of symbolism behind it, which I'm going to address in the second video next week, going out on August 16th. Hit the bell so that you don't miss that one. But yeah, I really just want to walk you through in this series the things that I have found and discovered through my research through scripture and how that aligns with the experience that I had. And I'm really, really excited to share this with you guys. Thanks for making it through this video. It was kind of scrambled, but I just wanted to lay out like a preface of this series because a lot of cool things happened out of this. But overall, it just made me want to know the Lord more. So I think that that's all that really matters throughout this entire series, is like, I gave God all of the glory through it. And I think that it's really important, if this ever happens to you, to not run after the gold dust, but to run after God and really study and read what scripture says about it, because there is a lot there if you're reading it with open eyes and an open heart and open mind. So that is it for part 1 of this series. Be on the lookout for part 2 coming out next week. Make sure that you click the subscribe button, hit the bell, and don't forget to give God all the glory and to overflow Jesus. Thanks so much, guys, and I will see you next week.